Do you think about that in your work? Like what
Absolutely.
it is, what you're trying to say, or if you're trying to say anything at all, or
Absolutely, I do think about that. And it's actually often becomes a problem of self-struggle, because if you start rationalizing it too much,
yeah,
you start questioning what it is you're doing, and to the detriment of the action itself.
sure.
So sometimes I'm not painting basically for a while because I just don't know what the hell am I even doing, like how to conceptualize and how to put it, and like do I need to somehow like synchronize it with what's going on right now in the art sphere and in the world in general, or am I completely detached from it and I can just work for the future, so to say, that someone in 200 years from now looks at it,
Sure.
and there are all these questions that we ask all the time.
Mhm.
Fundamentally, I think at the bottom of it, I think we are completely free, and I think the freedom is the essence of human being, and like real freedom of completely not being conditioned by the time you live in, and by the material constraints, and by all trends and political agendas, for sure. And
Yeah.
I think art is the great vehicle to express that freedom, and we can choose to live in our own like a medieval time in our head if you want to. We can choose to be we can choose to be in some other paradigm. We can choose any paradigm of thought and like system of coordinates we want ultimately. And when someone tells you no, that you're supposed to believe that only like this and this, and it's like 2021 and you're supposed to believe what science says now, etc., etc. No, I disagree with that. We can take philosophies of ancient Greece and appropriate them. We can and like live in and appropriate this cosmology. We can choose any time to live in basically that we want. And crazy as it may sound to some,
No, that's
but
cool.
In my art, I wanted to be specific enough to preserve that aesthetic appeal and that effect that the three-dimensionality and like can have, but at the same time be general enough to be able to spark the process of imagination in someone, for them to be able to access that imaginal realm.
Yeah.
So abstraction, I think, is really good for that, but not every kind of abstraction. I kind of reject complete chaos, and I reject primitivism, and I reject, just plain, simple, kind of facile, kind of ugly forms of abstraction, because I don't think they engage that visual, because I don't think they have that visual appeal to be able to engage the person like something more sophisticated can, and something that has more layers of complexity.
Right.
And oftentimes like people who don't know anything about art or just kind of don't know about abstraction, they see my paintings and some elements to them are realistic enough that they almost want to see some kind of thing in it, some figurative thing. They want to read it figuratively.
Totally.
And it's kind of humorous to me, because when someone comes up and says that they see a butterfly in your abstract piece, it can be funny, but that's totally okay, because it activated their imagination.
Yeah.
It broke them out. It broke them out from this mechanistic kind of, oh, this is a cup, this is a book, this is a table. It like breaks them out of that and makes them reflect theoretically about what they're seeing, and like makes them work to see what they're seeing, and then engages them, and then that conversation can lead in any kind of path. And so again, I do kind of two contradictory things here. Like I want it to be specific enough to be able to do that, but it still has to be general enough to be able to be taken into like an infinite number of these narratives.
Yeah, your work has like it's very abstract, like you were saying, for sure, but it also has this kind of like classical feel to it. Like you can, I don't even, sometimes like words fail, right, with paintings, but you can tell that although it's abstract, that you're trying to make it very real at the same time. Like again, you're talking about the three-dimensionality.
Yeah, it's that aesthetic intuition I'm talking about. Is that what you just said, you can't express with text or words. It's the aesthetic intuition, and it's fundamentally energetic. It has an energetic effect on the psyche.
Yeah,
that's what I'm trying to get. And I find that these effects of three-dimensionality and the dynamism and the energy and all these things together kind of combined, they can create that sort of effect. But about the classical reference that you said, yeah, for sure, I'm drawn to that. because as I started doing art, I started to think about like what is the kind of world we live in, what is the philosophical underpinnings. Like I can just unreflectively do it and just do it because it looks cool.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, it does look cool. It's like, and that's super important. It looks cool.
Yeah.
In simple terms, but I can't just do it in a vacuum. I want to look at the art of the past, like where we came from, what's going on, why did these people do it this way, why did this people value it that way, what happened in 20th century, why the hell did it all kind of break down into pieces. And as I started doing art more and more, I started asking these questions, started looking into philosophy, and started studying more philosophy and history and these kind of subjects, because I think fundamentally without having a worldview, you're not going to be able to really answer what is it that you're doing.
Right. Mm-hmm.
You're just going to be in a vacuum, and you're also going to be susceptible to propaganda and like the trends and kind of like the fleeting sort of movements and the kind of superficialities of the moment you're in.
Sure.
And you're not going to be able to position yourself in a kind of meta level that gives you freedom, like what I was talking about before.
Yes.
So you need to have that freedom. You have to know what happened before and why are we here now, and et cetera, et cetera. And started studying because I grew up in European culture context, and I started looking to where it came from, and started looking to Renaissance. And Renaissance is really big for me in terms of the painting and even technical influence and like the worldview that they had of the human being. And the Renaissance, of course, is the revival of antiquity. And what's antiquity? It's ancient Greece and Rome. So I went back to that because most of the concepts that we live around now, not just in art, but in politics and science and everything, they came from ancient Greece and Rome.
Yeah.
And like, they're all based on Greek and Latin. And I thought that without knowing these roots, or just at least being familiar with them, it's impossible to know what you're doing right now.
Yeah.
And so I went back to that and started studying philosophers like Plato, Aristotle, and the things like that. And sometimes I really felt the urge to somehow incorporate figures of ancient art and sculpture into my art as well.
Nice.
And as a kind of archetypes that come together. Yeah. It's mostly I want to keep it general enough, like I said before, but sometimes I just can't help but it's calling you, that image. It's calling you, and you want to put it there.
Yeah, sure.
Somehow you want to incorporate it there somehow. But it's like really subtle thing. It's like it really has to be organic. Mm-hmm. It really has to be organic and still general enough as an archetype to be able to have that effect.